Hello, good evening, greetings and salutations. How the hell are you? I hope everything's going your way. Now I'm about to step outside, but I'm going to show you my face before I do. It's all squeaky clean. I just took a bath in my lovely abode of a camper. That's all right. I'm a minimalist. That's all right. Last time I talked to my twin there, one of the times, she said, your footprint on this earth just keeps getting smaller. And I wanted to talk about a new chapter beginning and a new door opening. All right, I'm going to go outside and walk around, and I'll talk to you guys. See, we're outside. I'm going to turn this flashlight off. All that, though. So sorry about the pitch blackness of the night. But I'll tell you this. Let me see. There's the moon. I told you Crescent Valley was the place the moon shined the brightest. Crescent Valley, best known, best kept secret in the whole state of Nevada. Right now I'm living there on a piece of land I acquired. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that tonight. I'll try to give y'all some stuff to look around. So I walk around my yard at the moment. I wanted to say everybody I've met in Crescent Valley, every single person I've come across, good as gold. I don't think there's a single angry person or hostile person in this whole mile of a city. I very much like it here. Something I can do here that I could never do in Alabama. It doesn't matter if it's Alabama winter or not, or Alabama summer. Walk around in the dark with my shirt off around my yard and not get eaten up by mosquitoes. But they have something else on the ground called, like, what is it, goat thorn? Yeah, you can't walk around barefoot on this kind of ground because you'll get stabbed. It reminds me of the time I went to Arizona. And, you know, I run through the woods of Alabama, through briar patches, through blackberry patches, and got used to it, and those briars stopped phasing me. And I took that kind of experience to Arizona. And let me tell you a secret. The cactuses of Arizona, they're not the same as the briars of Alabama. Let me tell you about those things. If you even walk near that cactus, it will shoot those thorns at you, and they've got barbs on them. That cactus is angry. It's as angry as Geronimo fighting an Indian war against colonizers. That's a joke. All right, we're not getting political here. That's just a joke. But anyways, those cactuses are angry. They're belligerent and hostile. They will stab you, and they will not feel bad about it. And when you go to yank that thing out, you won't know this until you yank on it, but it's got barbs that have grabbed you. True story. It's that character from that Lion King cartoon. That hyena, I think his name was Ed, and he got stabbed by some briars like that in that movie, and they had to yank him out. It was funny. And yeah, but I wanted to take a few minutes, and I wanted to say I much rather liked it here. I'm on a spiritual adventure. Who knows when it ends? It probably goes over many life cycles. But I'm much rather a very big fan of Jesus, to sum it up. Practice love and forgiveness and understanding, empathy, sympathy, all of those things, the good things of life. Those things lead to life abundant, because those are the keys to the kingdom of heaven. If you can master them and wield them, they'll become one thing. They'll become a key called love, and you'll unlock the gates to heaven with it. That can be very hard to do in the world we live in this day and age, where it seems we turn on every TV channel there is, and it's doom and gloom. Nobody can take a joke anymore. Nobody wants to laugh, it seems. But what I found here is that's not so. People of Nevada in general are very good people, salt of the earth types. So, I'm gonna tell you, I sold everything I had. There were a lot of signs, a lot of hints that led up to that, and it wasn't just external hints. There were feelings and energetic movements. Some people call it Kundalini awakenings, but I know it as the Holy Spirit is moving. But at the end of the day, that's all trivial details. And I came out here after I let go of everything I had, and I made a massive leap of faith. Sold everything I had. Then I got out here, and I almost lost all of it I had. Or I don't have it anymore. I bought some land. I bought this piece of property with it. I bought that pickup truck over there. I bought that camper and that Nissan car right there. And I learned something important in the city of Reno. Apparently people like to bounce titles. You give yourself a whole bunch of problems. And being from out of state, I know what an Alabama car title looks like, but these look a lot different. So I had to learn a little bit about car titles in this state, because we all need a vehicle to move around. So by the time I got here and I got set up and settled, I was almost out of money. So I decided so I did some praying there, and I did some challenging. And don't nobody give me no looks about what I'm about to say, because if it comes as a shock to you, what I did, you're going to be real shocked when you read the Bible cover to cover, because everybody in the Bible did the same thing. They kind of got mad at God, and they said, come here, me and you are going to have a talk. I'm having a big old problem with some of the things you had me do, and some of the things that'll come from it. I don't understand. I'm frustrated. You're going to have to come here. And God does. And so, and I kind of had a feeling all along that there was nothing to worry about. I said that when I run out of resources, I'll be unable to sustain this body under my own efforts. A few years ago, I got in a really bad car wreck. I was a mechanic, automotive technician. I got certifications and experience and all that stuff. Just to put it lightly, I got the scars to prove it. I got the scars on my body, on my skin, and I got the emotional scars to go with it from when I waged wars with machines and their problems. But after the car wreck, I tried to keep doing it. I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed, it was the challenge. It was the thrill of the kill when you succeed. It was the struggle. If you want a job that's a lot like wrestling, then go become a real automotive technician, a real mechanic, not the ones who just do oil changes, not the ones that just do brake jobs, the ones that yank the motors out, the ones that drop the transmissions, the ones that got to pull the rear ends out, the ones that got to do all those things, and then you got to know how every bit of it works so you can diagnose it and you can fix the unfixable. You got to know the theory. You got to know how it works. You got to know the technology. You got to become a part engineer. You know, what comes to mind in that example is that a lot of people like to say in certain circles, not to get political, but they believe police should have to have as much knowledge as a lawyer. Well, that is great in theory, but then if you're going to go out there and get that much knowledge, and I'm not trying to excuse anybody, but I'm making a point that is very valid. If you go out and get all that experience and knowledge to what all the laws are and what they mean and pertain to, you might as well just go be a lawyer, right? It's kind of funny because we've got a legal system in this country where we've got a judge. When you break the law, when you got a civil matter, when you get all kinds of things like that, you go and stand before a judge. If it gets that far, you choose not to settle it beforehand. You get before the judge. Well, that's the judge's job to know if you actually broke the law, right? So you got to think that the system and the way it works, we don't have Judge Dredd running around on this earth, and thank God that's not how that works. For as many flaws as our court systems have in many parts of this country, I can't say what I know. Luckily I ain't had to get in front of a judge in this state, you know. But I digress. You know, thank God we don't have Judge Dredds running around under the sun. Though sometimes the media will make it seem like that. I'm not here to tell you they're saying what's right or wrong. I'm just saying they do portray it like that sometimes. I wasn't there. I couldn't tell you what happened and all the things that happened. That's not what I'm on this earth to really do. As close as I get to politics, it's philosophical ideologies and ideas like liberty and freedom, because that's a beat we can all dance to. Is not putting our nose up somebody else's ass crack and bossing each other around like we own one another, because we don't. Liberty and freedom is something every one of us on this earth can get behind. Not to go too far in the wilderness and get lost, and then I bring it back. So I got out here and I got a little bit of money left. So I decided what I wanted to do when I finally came out here and I got away from as many distractions, including the old way of life that I lived and all that stuff. And I was able to sit here without anyone else around. And was able to sit here. I realized what I wanted to do. I wanted to be somewhat of a nomad. I don't care about material possessions. I like a decent car. I think everybody likes a decent car. I like to go places. I like to push the limits. And I push them hard. I push them hard. I push them to the point people see me from time to time get on this camera, and it's like I'm having a very bad time, to say the least, and that's true. But that is no reason to stop. Pain is inevitable. sufferings where we get a choice, and some things are easier to not suffer than others. But ultimately, we all get a choice if we want to refine the skills to not suffer. So I decided what I wanted to really do, and I think I mentioned it a time or two, is get a minivan or something that I could just put an air mattress in the back of, and I wanted to go all over the country and DoorDash. And people might say, well, yeah, DoorDashing. Well, when you got a bunch of slip discs in your back, when you got a bunch of problems in your mind, but those are no excuse. But what I'm saying is that it's really the physical stuff that really slowed me down. Because I used to go to war with the problems of machines, and I would win. It was like it became an obsession, a relentless pursuit of mine to solve the problem that no one else could, to fix the unfixable. These days, I ain't fixing many of the unfixable problems, except on my cars, my vehicles. These days, I'm trying to see the unseen. These days, I walk through a spiritual battlefield. I don't wrestle with nuts and bolts coming out of holes. I wrestle with darkness in all of its many unseen forms. From the highest to the lowest on this earth. It is not the flesh and blood. It's what lives inside that can't be seen by the physical, unrefined eyes that have yet to awaken to what lies beyond what can be seen. These stars are beautiful out here. This whole place is beautiful. I stand by that statement. So I decided that's what I was going to do. I kind of made a video the other day where I was kind of making light, a little bit of jokes about my experience getting an estimate for a water meter. I'm a loudmouth provocateur and entertainer. That does not mean I go around stirring trouble. That means that I engage people to provoke them to respond back to me. This is how I pursue truth. This is how I refine the skills of debate to stand on the truth that I grasp at the moment. What I've ultimately come to realize is that truth, for all the things we could call it, and all that is, truth is neither objective nor is it subjective, but what we each believe it to be. The truth is in the beholder of the truth. This is how worlds are built, how cultures rise, how societies sustain, and beyond that, how workplaces, how people exist in those kinds of places, and everything. Everywhere you hear a story, I talked about this yesterday as it flowed through me. Everywhere is a story being told to you, and regardless if you know it or not, unless you outright reject it, you believe it. It's like a default thing. When you believe it, you water that seed, that story that's been planted in your heart, and it begins to grow. And it grows and grows and grows, and it doesn't stop until you realize you're walking around in a story. So, to get back on it, I realized that, and I believe I was informed at the time I got the unmetered water account. There are grants and things available. I don't know if I mentioned that in the last video, but I was informed about that. But where I come from is a lot different than here, and I didn't really inquire. But my understanding is that grants and stuff like that, in Alabama, I'm going to tell you it's hard. Nobody really tell you those kind of things. And I'm sure Alabama has grants for all kinds of things. There's federal programs for grants for things, but nobody's going to tell you about any of that stuff. You got to go figure that out. But here's different. It's culture shock, right? And so, but I didn't ask for more information. Maybe later I would have asked. But usually when people talk about help being available and grants being available, you usually got to come up with a good bit of money anyways. That was not going to be possible. It's a funny thing, hindsight is 20/20, isn't it? If I had come here with the money I originally had, and I had known where all this would have led up to, I would have had the money to get a septic tank and all kinds of things. I probably would have converted this into a small little RV park that had maybe 4 campers on it, maybe 5 if I was lucky. And I could have drawn some income from that every month. But let me say something very clearly. With that said, I didn't come out here to make money. All right? This is a spiritual journey. This is not a worldly affair. This is extreme spirituality. This is the kind that gives birth to insights of Jesus spelled out. Man cannot live on bread alone, but he must rely, lean, and feast on the entirety of the Spirit of God. And you are what you eat. So the more God you feast on, the more you become. Some people believe that means reading the Bible repeatedly. That's not what that means. Your body will swap over to eating the ambient energy that is ever prevalent all around us. And I know it's there because I can see it. I can see it even when I'm not looking at the sky. Scientists will tell you that's called the blue field effect. Medical science will say you can only see it in the corners of your eyes. I can see it straight on in the sky and on the ground. I can feel it if I sit still enough, long enough. I can feel it drop on my skin and come in. I did a video on that blue field phenomenon, blue sky phenomenon, whatever it was called, and I explained that it doesn't take away the mystical and the spiritual aspect of it, because there is a physical component to the spiritual. How do you think we experience this world that's around us? And so this body is not us, this mind is not us. So I decided I was going to put everything up for sale. Because part of me, I don't believe that I did this correctly. And what does that mean? I decided to go off and try and do as I'd always done. But I didn't come out here to do as I'd always done. I came out here to purify layers away, grow spiritually, refinement, all of those things. So tomorrow somebody's going to be here in the morning, I believe. That's the plan. And we already talked about everything. They're driving from a few states away. They were kind of quick on the draw. They were the first one. I know a lot of people. I know that I'm very fortunate and very lucky to have this spot, because a lot of people wanted this spot. I've heard from a good bit of them. And they all been real good sports about it. I'm going to tell you the truth. How I feel about it. But it ain't how God feels about it necessarily. is that I hope it falls through. Because I much rather like the idea of calling this place home. Even if I sell my truck and cash in what I have and all that stuff, I could probably still get a van. I could go all kinds of places, make money door dashing. Because there's some money in door dashing if you figure it out, and I figured it out. It might not sound like a lot, but there's not a day that I do it that I don't walk away with like $100 to $150 after I put gas in the car. To me, that's a blessing to me. Might not be to many people, but to me, that's like being a millionaire on this earth, because I ain't got no bills. Debt is a trap. Bills are a trap. Try to get out of them. Try to get out of them the moral and ethical way. That means you borrow money. Unless you really can't pay it back, you don't hit the quit button and the bankruptcy button. You pay your debts. You pay your bills on time. And if you can't, you need to be honest about why you can't. Try to work it out, who you owe. But anyways, to go back to why I'm on the topic here, kind of entered into a little pissing competition with God there. Kind of broadcasted it too. It ain't no secret. I said that when I run out of money, God, one of two things is going to happen. This body will die, or in other words, I will die. Although we don't ever die. We're all eternal. We're just souls, and those never die. But this body is going to die. And with it, whatever plan may have been. Or you're going to reveal yourself to me. You're going to do a miracle out of nothing. Because I have nothing else you can do a miracle out of. Originally, I wanted him to 100% materialize in front of me, do what he did in the Bible, send an angel down there to the one that he has something for. I believe he's got something for me. I believe there's something beyond that horizon that we can't see, but it's there, and we got to walk by faith even when it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's as hard as it must be to look at those chutes at a rodeo when you're the cowboy sitting on the back of a bull before that belt gets tightened around that bull's nuts and you get thrown around when that gate opens. I didn't know this until I got out here and I seen some rodeo. I didn't know that they had some giant gauntlet, like a giant dueling looking gauntlet mounted to that saddle. You get on that bull or that horse, and it's really epic. It's like an opera or something, like opera on a bull. It's all elegant and all kinds of things, and you wouldn't think that from a sport where it looks like that when it's going on, getting thrown around like you on the back of a hurricane. That one's definitely something I can't do. This body's not going to tolerate that. Got all these slip discs. Got all these problems with it. I can't even really change the oil on a car without having to rest the next day now. That's mainly from all them car accidents that were never my fault. I got rear-ended by a prophet. A prophet in Alabama got out the car right about this time I was considering coming out here or not coming out here. All of a sudden, one night I'm door dashing around a place called Birmingham, Alabama. Highway 280. Usually it's packed full of cars. That moment it was dark and it was empty. It was just me going to the restaurant. Boy, I love driving around in the peace of the night. And out of nowhere, Toby Keith's on the radio for the 100th time that day, talking about, go west, young man, haven't you been told? California's full of whiskey, women, and gold. I'm not in California, I'm in Nevada, close enough, although not similar in character, but in distance and geographical terms, close enough. And out of nowhere comes this man rear-end me, gets out the car, talking about signs and wonders. Oh boy. Oh boy. Long chain of events, all kinds of adventure, preparation, and here I am. Sometimes God doesn't work as fast as our egos would like him to. Sometimes fate doesn't find us quite as fast as we go chasing after it. It can be pretty dramatic. Because you know what? No good story, nothing worth hearing or reading about ever happened without drama. Without the hardship, the hard time that forged a beautiful story to hear. I'm going to tell you, like I heard a blues musician tell me one time. I was sitting there listening to another on stage. He said, Kurt, I'm going to tell you, son, I was a lot younger than I was now. He was old. And he said, Kurt, watching a man's heart break, it's downright ugly, but it comes out sounding beautiful. Oh boy, humans and our suffering. Then I thought, well, if God did manifest himself, if he come in here in the spiritual, but I could perceive him, talk to him, see him, or maybe an angel, something like that, or maybe even a feeling of presence that goes on and off like a light switch as I ask a question. I said, well, good does that do when he appears? What then? What do I do then? I said, I'd ask him a question. I'd ask him something. Because at that moment, a crisis comes from something we can't resolve and handle on our own. I said, well, what would I do? I said, I'd ask him a question. What would I ask him or his representative entity or his presence? I said, I would ask him, was it you or was it me the entire time? If he says it was me, I would accept everything that had occurred and happened. I would accept it. And I would say, okay, all right. Gave up a lot to come here. Gave a lot to follow God. So would you do it again? This is part of the story where I'm supposed to sound like a hero and say, yeah, without a question. Let's hope we never have to answer that question. I would probably demand a little bit better signs. Something of that nature, but whatever. What is, is. I'm not here to answer hypothetical questions. A lawyer once told me if somebody asks you a question, what if, a hypothetical, you say, I don't know. Because you can't know. You can think what you do, but you can't know. And so, with that said, and then if he said, no, I did it, it's my plan. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing fine. Don't be afraid. Every bit of it's my doing, not yours. I'd accept that too. In fact, that'd be like a badge of honor, because then I'd have something. I'd have something beyond faith, wouldn't I? I'd have authority. Everyone who realizes what faith really is, it's trust. You accept it just like it is, just as if it's going to happen. It's an extreme form of trust. It's spiritual trust on steroids. But I come out here, and it doesn't matter what happens next. I was glad I could live out here in this place called Crescent Valley. I was glad I could stay here for as long as I did. I stayed here for a few months. This is a fantastic place to live. It's loaded with good people. Funny thing is, I realized something today as the hour grew near, that this gentleman's supposed to be here in the morning, and we're gonna talk some business. Funny thing is, I said, you know what? I know what this is. I know what this is. This is a manifestation. This is an answer to a prayer I prayed all that time in Alabama. I said, if only I could be around good people, if only I could be around good community, if only I could be around reasonable and great people. And then I was here. It seems like I'm leaving. I'm one of those people that don't really count your eggs till it hatches. And some people would say that's not compatible with faith. It is when you're skilled. It is when you're a complete radical, wild man who says, I'm always willing and ready. I'm always willing and ready. I ain't got nothing better to do but to be willing and ready. Yippee-ki-yay and yippee-yi-yo. I'm going to tell you something. It's up to me. I wouldn't find calling this place home even when I'm far from it home. Fortunately, I don't have the funds to stay. I don't have any way, unless the state's grant literally pays for all the stuff, and I just have to sign a paper, say thank you. At this moment, it's not feasible. But that's okay, because nothing's forever. Sometimes things are quick, sometimes they're slow. Sometimes they're fast and for show. Tomorrow, gentleman's supposed to be here, like I keep saying, in the morning. And we're going to talk some business. And I know that a lot of people would love to have this spot. And I know how fortunate and lucky I am to have it. But I will say this, even if I stayed here and God did a miracle out of nothing, and it all happened, eventually I would leave the place, because I'm a nomad. For a long time, I didn't realize a big part of my unhappiness was sitting still. Long time, I didn't realize a big part of this is I was ignoring something that I was meant for. That is to move. Is to go out and see everything. Good way to do that is through door dashing. It's nice to make a little bit of money. And it's nice to be able to see cities and all kinds of things, knowing all I got to do is turn this app on and I'll get to see all kinds of cool stuff. Go on an adventure. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Who knows what tomorrow brings? I haven't a clue. Sat on the porch of that building, that little shack here that's in my yard. I sat here. And I was sitting there in the quiet, doing a little bit of meditation and a little bit of honing the eyes and the third eye and the perception, spiritual gift of seeing energy with the eyes. It's not often that I hear spirits talk. It's not often. Most of my thoughts are visual. I don't rarely hear words inside. Every once in a while I do. And when I do, I know it's something talking to me. Regardless if it's good or bad spirit, that's no matter. You know how a spirit is. You can discern a spirit by listening to what it's telling you to do. If it tells you to do something bad, obviously it's a bad spirit. Don't do what it wants, it'll go away. It feeds off of energy. Spirits feed off of energy. They know that. They know they have to replenish that energy. They go over there messing with somebody and it won't and the person won't cooperate. Spirit goes away. Because what little bit of its essence and life force it has, its energetic force, it can't squander it. To a spirit, interacting with a person is a gamble. Unless that spirit comes from the divine, from the source. So I heard, live with just what you need. The less we have of this world, the less of the matters and the shapes and the forms, the objects that we possess and we desire and we pursue after, the less of that there is, the closer to God we will draw. The less ego there is in you, the more God there'll be in you. So, it's with that I say, over time I'd stopped caring about possessions and having things. That's part of the spiritual journey. Because the spiritual journey isn't just about what you can describe and put into words and teach others and describe. Spiritual journey is like a shift inside of yourself. That's the best way I can describe it. It's more than that. It's a shift inside. It's a shift that says I need less, and the shift that says I can do more with less. If I leave this desert, I'll tell you this though, I've got to go out there in the wilderness, and I got to do the whole fasting shtick. It's one as old as the Bible. It's one as old as the people in it that were being written about and talked about. That too is a story. It does us no good spiritually and in the pursuit of making things interesting if we just walk around avoiding stepping into a story. This is the difference between someone who does it unconsciously and someone who does it consciously. Someone who does it consciously, stepping into the character, becomes a skill. Actors do it all the time. Some of them do it so well they become that character and they have a hard time taking it off. The skill becomes using believing and faith to create a story to step into. The story is as real as you believe it is. Act well your role. That's where all the honor lies. Shakespeare said, the entire world is but a stage, and we are actors on it, acting out characters on it. An unconscious person just goes through it. They don't really question. They just say, okay, this is how it is. The thought that says, is this really all there is? Is this really life? Those don't really cross a lot of people's minds until recently when it started blowing up on the internet. Now everybody's probably asking some questions. A lot of people are asking some questions. Before spirituality started to blow up and start to infiltrate even the most mundane person, the most normal person, what we would reference as a normal person, the NPC, before it even started to penetrate them and come before them and rouse many of them awake to some degree. I prophesied when I lived upon a mountain I called Mystic, up on Mystic Mountain. Oh, shooting star, what a sign. 1, 2, 3, make a wish. I don't even have a wish to make. Good fortune find who needs it most. Love and blessings be with us all. There you go. There's your blessing worth having. That's funny. People ask me, what do you want? What, and they mean like, what kind of stuff would you have if you could make it appear? What do you want? I got a blank drawn. Got a blank drawn on that. I don't really want anything. Not to be burdened and bogged down with the needs of the body, with the physical demands the body has limitations to, but there are ways to break this limitation. Fasting. Man must not feast on bread alone. He must feast on every bit of the Spirit of God. God is the Spirit, and the Spirit is in the air. It's in the oxygen that we breathe in. You take you a big old gulp of that, you keep doing it, and you eat less. And you drink you some water, some non-chemicalized water that crystallizes your pineal gland, your connection to the third eye. Drink the distilled water. Drink the purified water, no fluoride allowed. Some of those minerals also do it, but you need minerals. So whatever, I'm not a dietitian, I'm a holy man. Holy man with a cussing mouth. You know why? Because I don't play by the rules, baby. I read the Bible. I've seen how everybody carries on. Moral of the story is God loves you no matter what you do, and your shit does in fact stink. So don't walk around like it don't. Learn how to smile even though it does. Less food you put in here, because food is derived from the physical. It's derived from matter, so to speak. The more of it you put in here, the more things that intertwine through your mind, through your brain hardware, through your organs, the more they get accustomed to living off of matter, to sustaining themselves off matter. Well, matter has limitation. Spirit has no limitation, so the more you feast off of that, the more you learn to sustain yourself longer off of the breath of life that is all around us. God didn't stop breathing. The minute God stops breathing, everybody on here gonna have a problem breathing. You walk around, that star fell right as I could see it. Don't you ever tell me there ain't no God giving signs out, and damn it, that's me letting him off the hook. But you know what? Whatever. I wouldn't have very much faith if I said, you got to show me something. He'll show something. He'll do something. Sometimes I think it's ridiculous. We got to be sitting there basically tapped out, winding our heads off and hollering, help me, God, before God does something. And he does do something. It's said over and over again, God will hear you crying from heaven. People think that's a sweet saying until you're crying from earth and he has to hear you from heaven because you're doing it so loud, because you're being so dramatic about it. And it's not just you, I do it too. We're in the same club, ain't we? It's almost like we're the same or something. There's spirit in the air. There's spirit in the air. The less you sustain your existence off of matter, off of food, and you sustain it off of oxygen, off the spirit, the less food you sustain yourself with, and the more you sustain yourself off the breath of life, guess what? The more you'll walk in the spirit. Because the spirit's diet is, guess what, spirit? You are what you eat. Eat the spirit, breathe the breath of life, and you will become the spirit. There are some people who hear that, and I guess they're just so spiritually evolved in their ego, they'll say, well, we know that. I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to the one who don't know. I like them. They're blank slates. I can come here to teach the know-it-all crowd. I come here to teach those who don't know really much anything, but want to know. So, walk around, and that's really all I had to say about that today. Tomorrow, gentleman's supposed to be here. We're going to see what happens. Either way, very fortunate and blessed to stop by a rather small desert town in the middle of nowhere. Hey, we know about nowhere, don't we? I come from the fantastical land of nowhere. Pleasant little stay over in a desert community called Crescent Valley. What a beautiful place. What an experience this has been. That said, guys, I hope you have a good night, and I hope everything goes your way.